Oral questions. Questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, behind closed doors last week, the Prime Minister stated that if there were to be an election, he would like to teach Canadians a lesson. Those are his very words. After 4 years of failures, after a record deficit, unprecedented levels of unemployment, is he really in a position to give Canadians a lesson?
Mr. Speaker, I find it curious that after weeks of berating the idea of a coalition, the Prime Minister seems to be hard at work forming one himself, and with people that he referred to until this morning as socialists. I'm just wondering whether the Prime Minister could confirm his newfound love for socialism, and does he not think it prudent to change his attack ads?
Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition is flailing around trying to invent reasons why Canadians should have another election in less than a year, 4 elections in 5 years. The fact of the matter, Mr. Speaker, is this. The fact of the matter is that Canadians do not want an election. Canada does not need an election. An election is not in this country's best interest. We have important economic measures before this Parliament. All the parties in Parliament should be focused on those measures and on the economy, and the Leader of the Opposition should focus on our country's best interest.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, just a year ago, the Prime Minister promised Canada 5 years of surplus, and then he told us that his recession would be a great buying opportunity. Then he slapped Canada with a $32 billion deficit. Whoops, that went to 50, and now it's 56. And he's going to make Canadians pay for it with higher payroll taxes. The question is this: how can Canadians trust a government with this record? The problem of instability, Mr. Prime Minister, is you.
Mr. Speaker, Canada has been affected by the recession, the global recession that's affected every country. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, Canada's performance has been admired by many around the world. Canada is in a very strong position. Our deficits, while large, Mr. Speaker, are nevertheless some of the smallest in the developed world. They are necessary to help people, but our stimulus spending must end at the end of this recession, and we must return to surplus. I would invite the Leader of the Opposition, since he has yet to table any comprehensive economic agenda at all. I've invited him since the budget last January. If he has anything to say on the economy, I would invite him to bring it here so we can debate it.
Mr. Speaker, in light of the extraordinary attacks on our healthcare system by the people who apparently have given the Prime Minister such spiritual inspiration over the years, I'd like to ask the Prime Minister a very simple question. Is the Prime Minister proud of our healthcare system, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, it's the only system my family has ever used, and we're depending on it in the future.
When our system has been under consistent attack for several months by right-wing forces in the United States. And in particular, Mr. Speaker,
Order. The Speaker's having a very difficult time hearing the question, and I'd appreciate some assistance from my colleagues. The Honourable Member for Toronto Centre.
Andrew. Well, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the Prime Minister a very simple question. Does the government plan to launch a significant defense of the Canadian system in light of the attack that's being made on it in the United States of America?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we intend to let the United States make its own decisions on domestic debates. I will say this, Mr. Speaker, the Canadian healthcare system will not only survive attacks by right-wing commentators in the United States, it even survived one by left-wing incompetence in Ontario.